Hey everybody, Adam Savage here at Fonco with Fon Davis, and you are in the presence of greatness. No, neither of us. This here is the trophy for the 2000 Rumble Lightweight Championship, which was won by Mouser Mecha-Catbot. Meow meow. It's required to say meow meow. Fon Davis's Battlebot and Robot. Dude, let's talk about Mouser.
Mouser had a long career as a middleweight.
As a middleweight.
Yeah. So that means it was. It started as a 50-pound robot that looked more like the original pink paint scheme.
That's how I originally remember. And with the
cyborg. Well, yeah, because the very first, it was Robot Wars. We fought at Fort Mason.
You were part of that too?
Yeah. So.
Oh my God! Yeah. Right. Yeah. Of course. Of course.
Yeah. ILM had Miramac, and I had my Mouser, and the robot was destroyed. Actually, this happened in. Yeah, it was destroyed on this side, so I made a cyborg cover, and that's how it was Mouser. Then it became Mouser Mecha-Catbot, and every year it would evolve. But we installed the LED and all the greebles for one side after that.
So this is the early iteration of Mouser, and this is the results of the final incarnation.
This was the final incarnation, yeah. So it's seen some action.
Am I right? This is Lexan?
Yes,
polycarbonate?
That's right. Same stuff they make bulletproof glass from, just thinner.
And you pulled this on the big 4x4 at ILM, yeah?
That's right.
A 4-foot by 4-foot vacuum former. Absolutely lovely machine.
And this was very tricky to do because the reason it's so resilient is it has a high water content, moisture content in it.
That's one of the reasons for its resiliency.
Yeah.
I didn't know
know
that.
If you vacuum form it, all that moisture comes out and it blisters, it boils basically, and it blisters all over the place.
Yeah.
So I had a trick. You have to bake it out, and it loses some of its moisture if you bake it, and then you stick it in the vacuum former while it's still hot, and then you can pull a form without getting too much blistering. And it was always the hardest thing about making this robot was the new body every season.
Well, and I don't know if you ran into this, but we made the clear cover of Blendo out of vacuum formed Lexan polycarbonate. And we found that it held just fine until there was this point at which we were gluing some last thing and we hit the thing we were gluing with a little bit of kicker. And when the kicker hit the polycarbonate, it literally exploded. It released all these internal tensions from the vacuum forming, and it literally just crack and just became nothing but shards.
Wow.
I've never seen anything like it.
I had not had that happen.
Yeah, so I wouldn't get kicker anywhere near this thing.
That's crazy.
Okay, talk about Mouser and the evolution that Mouser Mecha-Catbot meow went through.
Well, this is my original binder.
Oh, look at
so you always have a project binder with your robotics projects.
Always.
And
Harrison Ford folders.
This is great. This is some of the original. This is the original design before I actually built anything.
Some eyeball tests.
That's right. Those are actually full-size eyeballs.
Oh.
Those are the original sponsor stickers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's wiring diagrams. Everything that I ever did, there's the whole wiring diagram. You could build your own Mouser. Just snapshot that. The original Mouser had, I think it was a saw in the front and back, and then we painted the saw 2 colors so that on camera you could see the rotation of the saw. Otherwise it just disappears and looks just silver.
Right.
So it didn't look very
threatening. You're still doing visual storytelling even when you're fighting with robots.
Absolutely. You got to make, well, for me, fighting in these competitions was never really about winning so much as putting on a really good show. So Mouser was actually a terrible design for winning. We won 50% of our matches, which is great.
Yeah.
But it was mostly designed to just put on a good show, and that's what I wanted to do. And then it started with the 2 saws, and then it changed to have a pneumatic spiked tail on the end.
How many times could you use that in the course of a fight?
Oh man, everything in here was based on the 3-minute match.
Yeah.
So I had 3 minutes of absolute use of this, just constant.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, that's so like everything though at 3 minutes and 3 seconds would just die, and it would just be a big paperweight.
There's another piece that I noticed here, which is I had totally forgotten about these.
Oh yeah.
This is a battery holder for an old Makita drill battery, but it's meant to go on the back of one of these to power. This is how we powered all of our RC
That's how you got more power
than
just having the battery pack inside. I don't even know if I have like a Makita battery.
I still have my very first
That's so
Makita
funny.
battery, but I don't think I have a charger anymore.
Yeah, so we had the battery packs. And then this is a retrofit Futaba radio that had John Foreman at ILM helped wire this up for me.
John was one of the, along with Grant Imahara, one of the other electronics experts at ILM. Oh, so this is an add-on of being able to act. Oh, so you didn't have to use these switches for the weaponry. You could use these.
Yeah, because it was so complicated to drive the robot and operate all the weapons at the same time. Because it had a front flipper, too. So it was a flipper, this tail, spike, and then the saw on the front. And so this you could turn on and off. You had to, you did have to care about your battery power, your air, and.
But you had somebody else doing this.
So so my wife at the time would operate the weapons while I would drive. But I also had ability to operate weapons on here as well.
Amazing.
And this was always one of my prized possessions because Mark Anderson gave this to me. This was one of ILM's retired transmitters.
No way.
So and this transmitter was very likely used on Empire Strikes Back and a whole host of other ILM things, and it was always that was my good luck charm right there.
Dude, that is a lovely piece of history. I want to talk about this weird and super critical piece of plastic.
You've actually helped me with this checklist.
I'm sure.
At the events. So this is something this was a cover that would protect. This lid would come down pretty hard, and it would hit things in here and break them possibly, unless we put in just a simple piece of plastic. So this piece of plastic would be inside the robot, and I would flip this open before every match, and it had a checklist of all the things that you had to do before a match. And you could see it's a lengthy list, and if you forgot any one of these things, it was a critical error. You would lose. You would not function possibly.
Just for anyone who's not familiar with building a robot for BattleBots, in order to make sure it can survive a 3-minute match, you effectively have to build something that you can hit with a 2x4 for 3 minutes and it keeps running. I mean, as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah, it was mind-blowing the amount of abuse and damage you would receive. This has one of the frames inside it, so you can see.
Nice. So this is your custom cylinder for holding onto the air.
Yeah, this one, that's an off-the-shelf cylinder.
Oh, okay.
This was a rapid pour pneumatic cylinder that would just dump air into the tail, so it would activate very quickly. And then, let's see, and then I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've looked at this thing. There's a regulator. These are the motors. These are airplane starter motors.
Oh, really?
For radio control airplane, like the large ones. You would put it on the propeller and start them.
Oh, one of those, but you have them built right in.
Really high torque, super lightweight, and then these
Look at these wheels being chewed up. What did you?
So these are 4 wheels. These are Coulson casters because they're solid rubber, and you can see the damage. This is like the saws, and the arena itself would just eat your robot alive.
There's another thing you did with this that I remember being really surprised by, which is that you made the aluminum frame pieces. You didn't make them on a mill. You didn't water cut them. You didn't laser cut them. You used a freaking router.
Yes.
I didn't think that was possible until I saw you make a plywood template and cut out like 2 of these one afternoon.
Yeah, that's how these were later CNC'd, but I would do the same for these pieces too. If you cut out a shape and you attach it to a piece of metal, routers, if you get a carbide tip, they can cut aluminum.
Amazing. That blew my mind.
I could knock out. The prep took longer time than it actually took to make these bases. But the bases, because of the saws in the arena, I would have to replace these between matches.
No way.
it was always a big deal. And you had to transfer all the stuff onto the new base if it gets damaged too much.
One thing, I visited the BattleBots set a couple of seasons ago and got to be a guest judge, as you have done. And one of the things I was super gratified to see was that same sense of camaraderie. And even despite the fact that everyone's competing, everyone is still really helping each other out behind the scenes of BattleBots.
Yeah. That was one of those things that was really interesting. When we started, it was not televised. It was like 32 of us building these robots and fighting them. And we all knew each other. And if you were short a battery or a wheel or a tool, you could just ask someone. And everyone was really into, they just wanted to fight. And they wanted a good fight. So it was in their best interest to make sure your robot was to full performance, And when season 1 of the show came out, it was still just not that many BattleBots. The second season, over 500 competitors showed up. And it changed the dynamic quite a bit.
Sure.
That year, you did have people. You would walk up to them in the pits. You know, you share the pit area with other robot builders, and they'd throw a towel on their robot.
Yeah.
And if you asked them the specs on a motor, you go, "Oh, what motor is that?" Because that's what we do. They would go, "Yeah, I'm not going to tell you." Oh. You know, but it was funny because that was the spirit of just that season.
Yeah.
And they could see very quickly, just by the behavior of the veteran bot builders, that was not a thing.
Yeah.
And it became a lot more open again. And it actually makes the sport way more exciting if everyone is sharing their technology, because you want a good fight.
It is.
You don't want a robot to just die in the arena. You want to eviscerate it first.
Especially since in those early competitions, half of the robots left the competition because of their own mechanical failures, or more than half.
I think the majority of matches I lost, it was a mechanical failure, not damage from another robot.
Right. And it like nobody wants that kind of competition.
No, it's boring.
I love the institutional knowledge that I can see in how robust the bots are now. Because that only happens when everyone's really sharing and understanding this can survive, that can't, this is what you have to protect, this you don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
But
and all of those components that people share knowledge about are not how you win.
No.
Anyway.
Right.
You know, it's about your design.
Nor how you should want to win.
Yes.
This is Sun Tzu, right? You want your opponent at their absolute best.
Exactly.
It's a good ethos. Fon, man, thank you so much. I haven't seen Mouser in 20 years, and it is good to see an old friend.
He's happy to see you too.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time.